이처럼 어렵고 조건이 불리한 속에서 그 수십 대의 세형의 무게도 전차들을 자체 힘으로 생산.
This reporter is talking about new developments in a bus factory. And here, they're talking about production of steel in one of the country's largest industrial steelworks.
질량적으로 보장하기 위한 사업과 또 그 생산 공정들이 절실히 필요한 주간 공시.
The steelworks operate with water from the East Sea. Nearby is a chemical fibre complex. And over here is the mammoth Kimtech steel complex, as well as an aluminium factory just here. What all these factories and industrial complexes have in common is their location, the city of Chongjin.
오늘의 민주 모습도 아리답고 승리의 부가도 드높은 민주 북조선의 서북평양.
At the turn of the century, on the edge of a large rural county called Puryongni, the site of the modern-day city of Chongjin was home to a small fishing village with only about 100 houses in total. However, its position on the coast provided a gateway into Korea amidst the notoriously difficult to traverse Hamgyong mountain range. The Russo-Japanese War being fought in Manchuria meant the Imperial Japanese Army needed a staging post to get their supplies from the Yellow Sea over the mountains. The settlement at Chongjin was the obvious choice. Japan wouldn't annex Korea for another half-decade, but various agreements forced onto the Korean Empire meant Japan soon built a railway linking Chongjin, pronounced Seishin by the Japanese, with Hwaryong here, on the Manchu border. In 1910, Japan officially annexed Korea. By the time of the annexation, Seishin had gained city status, and in the nearby town of Ranam, the Imperial Army had established a garrison. But the Japanese had no real plans to grow Seishin into any kind of significant city. In fact, it was their military town at Ranam where they funneled all their investment, making it the provincial capital of Hamgyong in 1923. But despite the Japanese attempt to develop their own capital, Seishin just kept growing. Its location was ideal for a port, and it eventually became a bit of a hub for heavy industry, serving as both a gateway into the mountainous north and a way to transport goods out to the world. The city slowly expanded west over the Susong Plain, almost coming into contact with Ranam. Ore was transported from the Musan region in the north of the province, and so they built a steelworks to process it. The output from local fishing meant building a fish processing factory was worthwhile. As more and more factories were built and the city grew larger and larger, it was linked to the national transportation network. In 1928, the Hamgyong line was opened, linking the city of Genzen, known as Wonsan today, and the city of Hwaryong via Seishin. In 1943, Japan conceded and merged Seishin with Ranam. And then, 2 years later, this happened. In the redrawing of the provincial borders which would follow, Seishin, now named Chongjin, and Ranam were split again, creating two cities. But after a bunch of border changes, it settled back into a single city, finally taking the name Chongjin. Over time, the city has grown into a major port and industrial centre, earning the nickname the City of Iron. Looking at this map from 1915, we can see just how much the city changed while under Japanese occupation. Compared with this map from 1946, we see that while the original population centres around the railway station and port remained unchanged, the city expanded east, creating a grid layout filled with factories and material storage. Today, the city is peppered with these large factories, industrial complexes and heavy industry, including the Kimtech Iron and Steel Complex, one of Korea's largest steel mills, employing over 50,000 people to convert iron ore into usable steel, shipping over land and sea throughout the country. It even has its own dedicated railway station, Songpyeongyok. The city plays host to the customary statues of the President and the General, looking down a boulevard out over the ocean. Chongjin is the only city outside of Pyongyang to operate its own domestic tram system, which runs from the outskirts into the city. Despite its tumultuous past, the organisation of the city has stayed pretty much standard since the 1980s. The main population centre of Chongjin is split between Sunam-guyok in the west, home to the city's west port, and Pohang-guyok in the east, home to the old city of Chongjin. Sinam-guyok covers much of the northern coastline and the east port of the city. The rest of the districts are rural, with the largest, Chonggam, covering the entire northern side of the city's boundaries, with Puyun and Songpyeong to the south. The city of Ranam, former Japanese garrison and regional capital, has today become little more than a district of Chongjin, named Ranam-guyok. Today, Chongjin is the seat of government for North Hamgyong province, the largest of the DPRK's ports on the East Sea, the largest industrial hub in the country, the third largest city in the country after Pyongyang and Hamgyong, and the only city outside of Pyongyang hosting foreign diplomats. The Russian Federation and People's Republic of China maintain consulates here. Plugged into the national railway network along the Pyeongna and Hambuk lines, with the domestic airport, Orang, to the south, allowing flights between the city and other destinations. And all this while sitting relatively secluded in the DPRK's most inhospitable province. 100 years ago, a small village on the coast of northern Korea, with no power or significance, relied on fishing to keep its population afloat. Today, Chongjin's 2 ports are still packed with small fishing vessels, with fishermen heading out every day, just as they always have, but returning to a starkly different city than their grandfathers left. Thanks for watching. I'm working to keep producing content I'm proud of and have plenty of videos in the pipeline. If you're interested in supporting my channel, I've just started a Patreon. Any donations are massively appreciated and would help me keep upping the video quality and level of research. You can find the links for that in the description below. As always, let me know what you want to see next. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share this video wherever you can. Thanks for watching.